right, it's going to take me just a second here. I was running a little bit behind, but we are kind of up in and live. So let me push this button. And I'm going to push this button. And then I'm going to push. Everybody's like, you're pushing buttons. What kind of buttons are you pushing? All right, I think we're very, very close here. And I'll double check this stuff in a little bit. That's up and running. That's up and running. I don't have us in our split screen. Let's fix that. Okay, just about ready to go here. Sorry, everybody. So what happens when you have meetings that are running like literally up within 5 minutes of the show starting?
Yeah, I had the same thing.
Okay, there we go. That's better.
Todd and Rob in the afternoon.
Hey, afternoon delight.
With Todd and Rob. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And hey, everyone. Welcome to the New Media Show. My name is Todd Cochran. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing terrific, Todd. It's great to be back doing the show and excited to, move into the next phase of podcasting for podcasting conferences. We're just getting started.
Yes, absolutely. And I have to hit this right at the beginning.
Okay, you had something hot breaking going on here?
Yes, I got an email from, I'm not going to say his last name because I can't find his podcast. His name's Scott. His last name starts with an S. And he says, I want to tell you something, man to man, you're an asshole. That's how it starts.
Wow.
So it goes on, and it's got, probably 20 expletives in here. And says how I don't talk for podcasters and blah, 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 and how I'm doing them wrong. And my response to Scott, what did I say that got you so upset? And he said, your February 2nd rant around 1 hour and 24 minutes, you decide to show your ignorance and go in on podcasters.
On this show? Or?
Yeah. So let me take you back to 1 hour and 22 minutes on the last show. And I don't know if Scott wasn't listening. I'm not saying he wasn't. And if he misinterpreted things, I apologize. But I was at PodFest, and I'd had a sit-down conversation with another podcast company owner, not host, someone that is heavily involved in advertising, that was talking to me about the headaches that they were having in getting content creators to execute their advertising campaigns, respond to emails, do reporting, all the things that I said during the last show, that I've had the same experience. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe I should have prefaced that with 10%. 90% of the shows that we worked with always did what they were supposed to do. They followed their contract. They did their ad reads correctly. They did everything they were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But it was the 10% that I spent 90% of my time on tracking down. And it was the 10% that usually cause us to have major issues with advertisers.
Sure.
Because if 90% are doing what they're supposed to and 10% are not, but I'm counting on those 10% to do what they've agreed to, then as a matter of fact, I've had advertisers quit because of podcasters that did not do what they said they were going to do during an advertising campaign. So my point was that sometimes I had to get really tough on podcasters. I had to get on them about their host reads. I had to get on them to make sure that they were staying on schedule. Mm-hmm. And I was very accommodating to a point. If I tell you once, hey, do the host read right, and we have to go back and look it over again the third time, there's no third time. I'll talk to someone twice, but no third. Or if someone is going out and just flippantly not doing their ad spots because they went on vacation that they didn't tell me they were going to be on. These things cause major, major, major issues with companies like mine and the individual that I was talking about in trying to make sure that advertisers stay happy and advertisers keep spending advertising dollars in podcasts. And that sometimes I had to be the hardcore bad guy and say, sorry, you're out for 90 days or you're out forever.
Right.
So if that makes me someone that's bad, I'm sorry. We understand
you can only do
podcasts.
so much.
we-
You can only
we-
do so much.
We understand podcasters want to make money.
Yeah. Mhm.
But the
Yeah, most
10% is going to ruin it for the 90%.
Mhm.
So he goes on to say something. I don't know one teenager or anybody anywhere in their near 20s that are investing money in podcasting. Well, that's not true. 18 to 30 right now is a very big, large, growing group in podcasting. And when I
Yeah,
was
it's
doing,
the Gen Z, it's the Gen
Right.
Zs that are getting involved in this medium, from
And
a listener and a creator.
he
perspective.
says, yes, we want to make money. Beep.
Mhm.
Would you want to invest money, equipment, time, and not make anything back? No, we understand. We want you to make money.
But it's also fair to say that not everybody has that motivation
Yeah.
in the podcasting space, and that's been the case since it started. So
He says, grow a brain, you gray-headed beep, because all you're doing is helping to create a harmful beep stigma in the podcast industry about beep podcasters.
wow.
Well, no. These are one-on-one. Rob and I are talking to you podcasters.
Right.
And we're telling you the things that we see and that
Right.
on a daily basis. We want podcasters to succeed. We want to put money in your pocket. And when you come to me or you come to like the company of the person I was talking to and say, you want to make money, and 10% of the individuals that say that sign up, that sign a contract, don't do what they say, it hurts the other 90%. So what would you want us to do? Would you
Right.
want us to continue to coddle the 10%? Or do you want us to hold the line on the 10% that are not doing what they're supposed to, so to make sure that the 90% can move forward?
Yeah. Well, it's not fair to the other 90%, too, because they could be impacted negatively by this, because there's oftentimes, bundled buys, right, that happen.
So he says here, why wouldn't you portray podcasters as professionals? Well, not everyone is.
Right.
Well,
Well,
they
Let's
are.
put it
They
out there
want
that
to be.
most are.
Most
Right.
are.
Right.
But it's in regards purely to a contract and purely being able to execute on a contract.
Right.
And if you sign a contract and then you don't execute on that contract, that's not professional. And maybe you're really not serious about making money.
Yeah, and I think that's why many podcasters are opting into programmatic, is because then that obligation just isn't
Right.
there as much, right?
it's-
So because when you sign that contract, you have to produce episodes
Right.
for that window of time, and if you miss that or you don't get the ad in there, guess what? You have issues. So makes sense.
So this
what
is
you're
not
saying.
this is not the first time that we have talked about this on this show. We've been
No.
doing this show for over 10 years, and this is talked about at least one time a year.
Right.
At least.
Probably more than that, but that's okay.
Because but I'm just relaying
Yeah.
what I heard from another same exact thing that I'm just explained here. I'm relaying the challenges that other folks that are trying to put money in podcasters' pocket are experiencing. It's the same thing. Hasn't changed in 17 years.
No, people are people.
Yeah. So, Scott, I'm sorry
Right.
that I upset you. And believe me, that is not the purpose of this show.
Right.
And thank you for the insults. And Rob, you got quite a few compliments. So
I did.
Yeah, you did.
Well, I didn't get that email. So
And so it is what it is. I just can't, I can't take the 10% of folks that are, and this is what I talked to this individual, and I didn't tell that individual to be a hard ass. They said it themselves.
Yeah.
They said, I've got to become mean. I can't be nice anymore. I have to put the hammer down.
right.
And it wasn't, and it was just like I hearing myself talk. Again, 90% of the shows, no problem.
Right.
They run like they're supposed to, execute, do the reporting, do a good job.
Yeah. This experience that you've had goes way back.
Way back.
I mean, you've been talking about this since
Way back.
really since I started to get to know you
And matter
in
of
the
fact,
early days.
I had to talk about it for a while. And then it drops in my lap. Someone that tells me they're having the same exact, and I don't make this stuff up. And the reason I'm not saying the individual's name, I don't want to impact their business.
Right.
They're running a separate business that competes with me, that they're doing a great job. I'm very supportive of them. I'm not going to name any individual.
Right.
Maybe at some point. Matter of fact, that individual and I talked about doing a podcast together to talk about this. So maybe. So it's just one of those things. So again, don't shoot the messenger here. I'm just sharing what I see on a day-to-day basis.
And Todd, I think it makes sense. I mean, I think it's been with us since the very earliest days of people having an interest in having host reads.
But
there's whole stories on this that'll curl most people's eyebrows when they think about what podcast advertising started out as compared to what it is today. It's like, a lot of the hosts would insult the advertiser in their host reads. So saying this product sucks.
But if I go out to any major company that is running advertising and podcasting, they have meetings with their people that they have, that if you get signed by someone, they have pre-launch meetings where all this has gone over. This is what you're supposed to do. This is the requirements of the ad deal. Here's the tone.
Yeah.
You have to try the product, all the things that goes along with a successful campaign. It's like we preload all this knowing, but if you go out and you're expecting to get a check,
right,
and don't execute,
you can't really expect a check at that point.
well, you don't, but you put the company in a bad position.
Yeah, you do.
I'm trying to make sure that the advertiser gets, number one, what they're paying for. Because then if that person that's part of that 10%, matter of fact, that's why I always kept 5-6 shows on the end that weren't part of the campaign, because I could slap them on immediately, because I knew there would always be some that would come on.
Right.
And they were appreciative to get in on the cut, because they didn't make the original cut. So it was one of those things where if the advertiser's spending $50,000 in a month, let's say $100,000 in a month, and 90,000 of those dollars get executed like they were contracted, and 10,000 don't. I'm on the hook. I'm on the hook to get that inventory delivered.
Right.
Because that's what they have in their budget to spend. They want to spend their budget. The company that has signed them says, I want 100,000 on podcasting. I want 250,000 on TV. I want 300,000 on radio, whatever it is. And if they go back to that company and said, hey, the podcasting group could only deliver 90 of the 100.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, fire them.
Right.
They're trying to spend their spend. And you're cutting into the company you're dealing with profits as well, because they can't bill for that 10,000. And that might be the difference between a salesperson getting a bonus and not. So it's a trickle down thing. And all of a sudden Todd's on a list because he can't deliver inventory.
Yeah.
because a certain number of shows didn't do what they said they were going to do after they were going to do. So how do you think I'm going to this? If this doesn't make common sense, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It seems unreasonable to be upset at you for this. This is
well,
just a-
I can only the only thing I think is he misinterpreted what I said,
yeah.
and maybe I didn't describe in deep enough details.
Yeah.
But believe me, my sole job is to help podcasters grow, reach their goals.
Well, that's
That's my
what all of
job.
us- right. And increasingly, we're getting pressure on growth and monetization. So, and that's kind of a difficult role for some of the hosts to be in because they don't really have a lot of pathways to help a podcast grow. But they, nonetheless, growth is the lifeblood of this industry too.
That's right. Well, I don't
So-
know what happened here because we're not showing as being lit and live. Why is that? I'm very irritated. So I'm going to send out a different bat signal.
Tech doesn't always work.
Oh, I don't understand what's going on. Podverse is not picking up our signal. And let me go and do the other one manually.
So Todd, I did find us on Google Podcasts.
Oh, you did.
I did.
Okay.
Do you want me to share the screen with everyone so they can see that it still exists?
Oh,
So-
it's in google.com, you mean?
Yeah. Here.
All right.
I'll show it.
Let's
I'll
see
show
if
it
I
to
can
you
get
here.
you the right. Let me see if I can pick the right screen input to make sure we can see your screen. Go ahead.
Well,
Oh,
doesn't-
I just screwed it up. What did I do?
Oh.
Oh, what did I do? What did I do? Oh, that was dumb. I just pushed
it
the
doesn't
wrong
appear
button.
to be working right here.
Let's see here.
I'm looking for a window, but I can't seem to find a window. Let's see.
I just pushed the wrong button and screwed our whole thing up.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Let me come back this way. Let me do you this way. All right. You can't find the right button.
Well, I can't find the right screen.
Oh,
Oh, wait. Let's see here. Yeah, I can't find. Okay, here it is. Let's see,
yeah.
hopefully this will work.
There we go.
Okay,
Okay.
there it is.
Oh, so was that on your mobile device?
No, it's on my desktop. So what you're seeing here is if you go to podcast.google.com,
Yep.
which is their default landing page for podcasts on Google.
Yep.
You just search for New Media Show, and this is what comes up. So it's still there. So you can listen in here. This isn't their app though, so I don't know that their app is active though. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is their app though, so their app is fine.
Well, it's a web-based tool, so it appears that all of the podcasts are still there. If I go back to the main Google Podcast page, you can kind of see this is my subscriptions, and then they have this down here, so you still have access to all of the podcasts in Google Podcasts still.
Gotcha.
They do appear to be taking it down from search results though. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
did
yeah.
a search for the New Media Show in Google and just a general search, it's difficult to find the Google Podcasts area in a search result. So that may be how they're kind of dismantling this. I'm not quite sure what the bigger picture is here, or what they're trying to do, but I know it was kind of a lead story in Pod News. But here, let me stop the share here.
Well, yeah, it's interesting what they're doing at this time. Someone says you still sound funny on the audio stream, and what's weird about that is you and I go into the audio stream the same. So there's one pipe going in. I don't know why you would sound different. So
Yeah, and I do other podcasts.
yeah, so
and I
but
don't sound scratchy on
but
other shows.
but it's not scratchy. It just sounds like your sequence is off. But you're coming out of the same input output I am to go into the audio streamer.
hmm
So I thought I had found something, but it should have made me sound weird too. So I will do more investigating. I'm going to have to dig around. Yeah, I guess we are lit. It was weird because I did not. Someone says, "Hey, Rob and Todd, your enclosure hero says audio MPEG for the live item, and I think the Podverse player is getting confused." Well, that's interesting. So let me look at the audio feed. Let's see here, PowerPress. Yeah, we're troubleshooting while we're live, and okay, it's supposed to be audio MP3. That's what the live stream is. It's on the app. It's okay. It's on the web app that's having the problem. And then let me look at the video because, hey, Mike, if you're watching, go look at the video version of the show and see if the video is working on the app because we're trying something new today. So, maybe that's what's going on for the video. Well, let's try changing that. Maybe that's what's going on with the video. Okay. Well, this live stuff is working great, but the video piece is the challenge. So maybe therein lies the problem. All right. So back to what we were talking about. By the way, we did get some boost before we get too deep into this. 2002 sats lit came up for my PodServe, 5,000 for Mitch saying, your enclosure tag is for the live item. Think Podverse getting confused. And of course, they talk about your audio sounds weird on the stream, which is weird. We got.
I'm just weird, Todd.
Okay.
Generally, so that makes sense.
We got from Bronto Rodeo, 2,500 sats, creating a technical definition of what is actually a podcast seems like the kind of thing the Academy is meant to do. Oh, they will never do that. They will never set a technical definite. The Podcast Academy will not, because then they couldn't take money from these groups for the ambies that are not RSS based. That's why they would never set a technical definition of what a podcast is. That ship has sailed. I understand where people are concerned, but
I don't take the hard stance on that anymore. Because I think if you look at it from how the listener or viewer looks at it, I think you can totally see how that perception could happen. But if you're a content creator, I think you have to understand the differences. But as far as what you do and what the audience thinks, I've just kind of accepted that podcasting is much more expanded now and what people think it is.
In my heart, I can maintain that personally, I can maintain that podcasting is derived from an RSS feed. But I also am, I guess for a better word, more, I'm big enough to know that for the audience, they don't care that it derives from an RSS feed.
And at the end of the day, I guess we shouldn't care either. If they think it's a podcast, it must be a podcast, right?
Right.
I mean, I can't change somebody's mind and say, sorry, that's not a podcast,
Yeah.
but it looks like it and sounds like it.
Yeah, it looks like it, smells like it, everything. Yeah.
So, there's only so much that we can do.
Yep, I agree. So I think that it's it's one of those things that we did get a little bit of traffic on Twitter on talking about the Podcast Academy on the last show too. So there was a little bit of back and forth. I just kind of stayed out of the embattlement.
Well, I am running for staying on the board of governors because my term expires in April here. So I'm, unless I get reelected, I'm out.
Oh, so you are running or you're not running?
I am running.
Oh, okay.
For reelection. I just put my name in the hat again. If I get reelected, great. If I don't, then guess what? I have
So
couple less meetings every week.
yeah. So is there a lot of new blood that are putting their names in to run?
Yeah, I would say probably close to a dozen.
Wow.
People, right, that have an interest. We had to add a couple of people, probably like 4 or 5 months ago, just to fill out the board, because as you know, we lost a couple,
Right.
that dropped out or got, left for a variety of reasons.
Well,
So-
one was voted out. So
I know, right?
Okay, so
I
let's
was
just
trying not
let's
to say
call
it,
it let's
but
call a
yeah.
spade here. So
Right. So anyway, that's what's going on with that. The AMBs are coming up here on March 7th as part of Podcast Movement. So that's going to be streamed live on the Amazon platform. So it should be a real whiz bang event. So right.
so it's streamed on Amazon. It's not going to be openly streamed. They have to stream. They're streaming it on a closed platform.
No, it's not closed. It's going to be free
Well-
to get, and it's also probably going to be on YouTube
Oh,
afterwards too.
okay.
So-
Well, you have to go have an Amazon account in order to.
well, they're a sponsor of it, so
Okay. Well, I understand they want them to come to the platform, but what about the rest of the people in the rest of the world that don't necessarily have Amazon accounts? So,
I don't think it's behind a login.
oh,
So,
okay, that's okay
right.
then.
Yeah.
If
I
there's-
don't know the technical details on that part of it, but that's something for the team to
Right,
handle,
to
the
handle.
staff there.
All right.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting, the discussion about Google, that seems to be floating around, about what they're going to do next and what's going to disappear. I know James in his newsletter put it out, was it yesterday, saying that Google search dumps podcasts as of February 13th. So that's coming up here.
Right.
So we'll see what that really means. I don't know. Google they had a lackluster performance in how much they drove podcast consumption anyway, at least in their player platform. I think people were confused about how to find it and how to get to it. And it just didn't work out that well.
All
I don't know
right.
what you think about it. What's your thought about it?
Well, it's just like this wishy-washy stuff that's happened with other companies in the past.
Like Facebook.
Yeah.
Is another example of similar type of scenarios, where they kind of get started, get some enthusiasm, and then they get cold feet.
Yep.
I worked a lot with the Google folks many years ago, like getting them even to the point that they're at now, talking to them, meeting with them up in Seattle when I lived in Seattle, and they had grand visions for what they wanted to do there.
Well, they were spending money
just
on
never
booths,
materialized.
and I think what it is, it's the bottom line. Podcast does not bring them any money.
They had plans to do stuff, but it never materialized, and then their
Right.
team broke up, and now it appears that they're pushing more and more towards YouTube, and YouTube is going to probably dominate this conversation as you look to the future.
Well, again,
we'll see even
we'll
on
see. We'll see.
I mean,
Because I think if podcasters start having a reality check when they look at their numbers on YouTube, everyone says you got to be on YouTube, got to be in YouTube, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't think it's going to be this big driver of new audience members for a large majority of shows.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this too, but you saw the changes that Spotify's made to their platform in relation to podcasting too. I do feel a little bit of a pullback on that happening right now around new content, exclusives. There's just kind of it's a rough economic environment, and so people are getting laid off. There's changes over staff, so that things are going to shuffle around and rejigger, and we'll see what comes out of it. But when Spotify decided to change their name of their publishing tool to, was it the Spotify Creators
Right.
Studio?
Yeah.
That basically that's like perfectly aligned with YouTube, right? The YouTube Creator Studio, right?
Yep,
So you
yep.
can see, and now Spotify is supporting video uploads, so you can kind of see how maybe they're trying to compete with each other increasingly. And the issue is that YouTube is a much bigger platform than Spotify, so we'll see who wins on that.
Right.
Who's going to be the YouTube of podcasting? Is it YouTube or is it Spotify?
Good news. Good news. Just got a 5,000 sats from Mitch. Changing enclosure type to video. Fix the issue in Podverse mobile and web. Woohoo! We'll send screenshots to podcastindex.social. So we are, not only are we lit in live audio, we are lit in live video. So we're running an experiment here. I'm sorry.
We are
A running experiment
We're
in
a test bed.
a test bed. And so what we did, just so everyone will know, I am running an HLS output on Wowza.
It's a very good lead in to something else I wanted to talk about.
Oh,
So
okay. So we're running an HLS streaming output, and that's how the video is live on the Podverse app, iOS and Android app. So very, very happy about that. So it leads you. I know where we're going here, and
You do?
yes, I do. And over my dead body.
Did you see the post that was made in LinkedIn about this? Mr. Brian Berletta made a post. Yeah, so he and I have a little bit of a debate going on.
I did not see it, but I
this
saw
topic.
something on Twitter where they want podcasting hosting companies to be streamers now. They want us to stream. Just like we're
Yep.
streaming this show, they want us to stream the content. Oh, that's all cool until you get on an airplane. Or you're not connected. That's
Well,
it.
I mean, my question to Brian is that why would the industry adopt streaming protocols coming out of Spotify or YouTube
No.
or whatever and layer that on top of YouTube? I think if the only way that we're going to probably practically see that happen would be around video, but not around audio.
See,
There's really no reason to do it with audio that is really of any consequence.
even video, though, Rob, because HLS is a live stream protocol.
Well, it's a streaming protocol. It can be
Right.
used for live,
Oh,
but it
okay.
can also be used for on demand too. It's basically batch downloading. That's the other part about the technical definition of HLS too, is that it is very similar to a progressive download streaming. So it's not that much different. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing that this would come up right now. Why all of a sudden are we concerned about streaming ads too? That's the other part of it too, is that it's the streaming ad delivery
Right.
versus the dynamic insertion
Yeah.
capabilities, right? Well, I mean, what's the advantage of that? The only advantage is attribution and tracking,
That's right.
because that's been what's been done in the streaming music industry for many years, is that they've streamed in ads
So,
in real time.
so
Right.
who's pushing this besides Brian?
Well, I think that the big platforms that are using streaming, like Spotify and YouTube, I think are somewhat trying to capture this market and say, well, let's make it all streaming. Let's get rid of the download, because that's
Oh.
we've been battling on this show for years now, is this growing tide of people that want to get rid of the download. So
But the thing
Right.
is, it's transparent to the listener as it is now. They don't know it's a download.
right.
They click play and it plays.
So
They get in
it's
on
a
it. They
business objective is what it
They
is.
get on an airplane and they click play and it plays if they've set their stuff up to automatically download.
Yeah, but now they're talking about layering this on top of RSS, and that's why I kind of raised the topic at the standards group. Was what does everybody think about this? Do we want to add a tag that enables streaming, and whose technology are we using, or do all the hosting platforms have to build HLS into their platform now?
Yeah. Well, that's dumb. It's the stupidest thing ever. It you know how much more expensive it is to do that?
I know, and I'm not sure what's being accomplished.
It's
That's the real problem.
when you have a fixed CDN and it goes out there and gets delivered on demand, and then you have to set up a streaming service so
On
that
top of that,
on top of that, do you know how much more that costs? But I can't do business that way. I can't compete. There's just no way, especially if I'm not running ads and content. No,
I mean, Todd, I think that there's a danger here of us having this perception that we're curmudgeons that don't want to evolve, right? We're dinosaurs and we don't want to evolve into something that's bright and new and
right,
shiny.
right.
And that this streaming protocol has got so many benefits for the advertiser. And that's the key right there.
Yes.
What's the benefit to the advertiser? This is what the advertisers want. This isn't what podcasting wants.
Right.
So maybe it is to some people in the podcast community. And if we decide as a community that we want to go towards streaming and get rid of download, well, that's going to take time.
No.
I mean,
I'm not doing it.
Right.
Why?
Yeah. And is a standards body like the Podcast Standards Group going to embrace this? I doubt it.
I doubt it. Because the people that are suggesting this don't have to foot the bill.
Yeah.
And
it's being done for not necessarily the wrong reasons, but maybe a little bit of the wrong motivation. And that's where the problem is.
We're at a point where if people want to do this, go ahead, raise your cost. My bandwidth bill is already big enough. I have to do a bank transfer. It can't be put on a credit card. And
it could save money, Todd, because you're not completely downloading all the episode, right, to play it.
Oh, yeah. No. You add an HLS layer. It's costing me additional money to stream the show right now because we add an HLS output. Every person that connects to that now on an app, I'm getting ding, 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 ding by the second for that connection.
Sure.
And I'm doing it because I want to make this work, right?
And server resources too, bandwidth, server resources, all that stuff's,
that's
all
right.
adds up.
Yeah. And it just, it's there's too much focus on the commercial. If the 3 to 5% of shows that are being monetized want to go to HLS, knock themselves out. And then they will not no longer will they be IAB certified. Now they're going to have to go get a streaming certification through the MRC. And when they get a streaming certification,
that's like $100,000 to get
$150,000 every year. So go get your MRC certification for being a streaming platform. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
150.
Yeah, Todd, I agree. I mean, I think that this part of what could be behind this is the effort on the part of the larger media companies to make this be more their domain, right? And they're controlling the domain and what happens to this medium that actually came from creators.
That's right.
And that's who's dominant in this industry right now. And we as an industry have to decide, who's going to be leading us. Is it the 5 or 10% of the podcasting space, or is it the 90% of the podcasting space?
But the 90% of the podcasting space don't care.
Right. And that's my point is that, they can wish on a lucky star all they want, but
right.
I think they're going to have a hard time getting an open platform to become more proprietary.
No, I just, because then, and so let's get real. All right. Let's say you self-host your media. Today, if you self-host your media and you have a relatively small audience and you put your MP3 on your own web server,
you don't want to do that.
No longer would you be able to self-host your media without a whole bunch of tech layer that would be on top.
Which basically makes you beholden to
have
to
go
that have invested in that infrastructure.
That's right. And I don't think that here's another thing too. The app developers are not going to we're having a hard enough time getting the app developers to adopt podcasting 2.0 stuff. You tell them, hey, we're going to start sending you our audio via an HLS stream.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems to be a pretty hot button topic right now, amongst a pretty small number of people in the industry. So
Well,
that's the thing that we always have to keep in mind is this profit money advertising stuff is a fairly small part of the industry. It's important, don't get me wrong. We're all involved. Todd and I are involved in dynamic ad insertion, programmatic advertising, some level of attribution. There's increasing talk about, these dart tag stuff, which I'm not a big fan of. And so then the barometer type, brand safety, brand suitability stuff is coming into play too. But a lot of this is being done to cater to the needs of the advertiser, right? There's not a lot of consideration for what the podcaster needs.
well, I've had how should I say this? I had a call with a relatively big business player that has podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And they are becoming concerned of having as a matter of fact, they're pulling their shows from Spotify and other platforms because they're concerned about being on a they're worried about their brand image based upon where their actual content is being consumed. They're fine to be on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and on apps, but they were specifically concerned about being on certain apps and what those apps are doing. And I thought, well, okay. I said, that's the beauty about this. I said, you can remove, your show. You can ask me removed from any platform. That's your choice. That's the beauty of podcasting. You do not have to have distribution on this particular platform. And I think what it boils down to is they're not worried about. They're worried about what companies are doing and what they're promoting and how it ultimately makes their brand look. It wasn't about other content. It was about what the company was doing. And I thought that was curious in itself, that they didn't care if there was
Is it corporate behavior? Is that what you're talking about? Or corporate values?
Corporate behavior, corporate values
Culture.
of a culture of a platform. So that's the first time I've ever heard that come up.
Right.
Where they said, we don't want to be on here because of this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, okay. All you got to do is give the instructions on how to be removed. As a matter of fact, they went on the web while I was on the phone call and the request to be taken down. So I thought, wow, that's an interesting spin. So 50,000 sats from Adam Curry, streaming video, working on Podverse and on Graphene OS. Congrats, New Media Show, Mitch and Alex. Of course, that's the word from them basically getting us the video live. So people are watching. 5,000 sats from Mike Dell. Streaming versus downloads for advertising is censorship. So I don't know about that one, Mike. That's an interesting one. Streaming versus download for advertising is censorship. Is it censorship or is it I don't know if it's censorship. It's more of a power play.
Yeah, it is. It's a technology kind of capture strategy in some ways. I mean, content capture strategy too. So if you can get people to utilize a specific delivery technology, then maybe you have some advantages in that. Plus, it also does. I mean, I have to be frank about it. It probably will deliver a little bit better, probably data back to the advertisers.
Well, that's what they want, Rob. This is what this is all about.
Which is basically that ad was actually heard. I mean, at the end of the day, if it's streaming advertising delivery, the only real advantage is
the advertising.
That if it was delivered in a stream to a piece of content that's playing, then you know that it was likely heard.
So what happens then when some company goes HLS to push all their podcast media, and I get to the airport, and I want to sync that media file onto my phone so that I can listen while I'm in the airplane, or I'm out in the back 40 in where I live, and there's no cell phone signal. It's actually 0 bars.
Yeah, I don't know that you can actually have a preload of an HLS stream. So-
That's and doing an HLS stream on demand. That means you understand? People don't. This is like, are they crazy? I'm thinking about that. Do you
Right.
know the infrastructure that's required to be able to? Because you have to ramp up an instance.
Yeah, because if you were going to do both, so let's say you were going to offer the stream for regular playback and then offer this additional feature to download the episode via HTTP protocol, like we're all doing today, then that's additional infrastructure. So you have to have both, is what at the end of the day, you have to have both capabilities if you want to deliver that preload that's using dynamic ad insertion. So you're going to have the regular dynamic ad insertion capability into the MP3, and then you're going to have the HLS streaming technology into the stream at the same time.
Nope. And then you're telling all the app developers.
Right. That they have to support two media delivery types or formats.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I'm not sure what's really
So is there
being
an argument going on in LinkedIn? Are you having a health? Who's all
Well,
involved
I
in
just-
that conversation?
I just made a comment in there, and he wrote back, he disagrees with me, and I've made some valid points for why it's an advantage, but my comment is, who's the advantage to? The advantage is to advertisers, right?
Right.
What is the impact on the podcasting platforms that have to comply with this, and then what's the impact to the podcaster?
Right.
Is this advantageous to the podcaster? In some ways you could say no, and in some ways, no. That shifts the benefit to the advertiser.
And well, it does. That's what
Yeah.
it's all about, the money. When
Right.
people start talking like this, just follow the money. Follow the $100 bills,
Mm-hmm.
or $10,000 bills, or $100,000 bills. And probably what it is, probably that's what YouTube's going to do. Probably YouTube is just going to make all this content whenever they launch their podcast piece. It's all going to be HLS. So
That, and they're going to probably, I hate to almost say this, but they're probably going to expect ad-free content from
I doubt
all
it,
of us.
because they don't now. I can have advertising in my YouTube content, as long as I
You can,
declare
but I
it.
don't believe that they're going to support programmatic insertion
Oh,
into
no.
content that's delivered to them.
Well, if they
Isn't
get
that
if
what-
they get it that way,
That would clutter up the episode too much,
Well,
because
if
they
they-
want to do insertion.
well, if they get the audio that way, serve it that way, are tough, because they're not going to give me a piece of that. YouTube, unless you have a million. See, here's
Well,
the
unless they're going to allow the platforms to insert the ads somehow in the back end, right? But if
Okay.
they're caching the episodes,
But-
how's that update to that ad spot going to get handled?
here's the thing. We got to be careful that we're going to get what we're getting sucked into.
I know.
Okay, so hypothetically, let me put a hypothetical out there. Hypothetical, YouTube launches the next greatest YouTube platform where you can go and listen to podcasts. Okay?
Yeah.
And Todd said, "Oh my God, this is the most amazing thing. I'm being distributed into YouTube, but it has to be a clean episode. Can't have
Right.
no advertising in it." And then
You
soon,
can probably have some host reads in it.
okay, let's say we have some let's have some host reads in it. So we'll send
in host reads.
let's send the baked in host reads over. All right. So I got mine there, and then YouTube says, as a condition of being on here, we're going to run ads on against your content, as they do YouTube. And if people pay $17.95 a month, they'll get an ad-free version of your show from YouTube. But if people don't pay, then what we're going to do is, when you get 1 trillion listening hours, we will give you a piece of that advertising.
Right.
And if you don't make content exactly the way we want it made for the YouTube audience, you will not get promoted. You will not be found. You will not be able to get exposure in the YouTube ecosphere, because YouTube has a formula for people
that's not even talking about content moderation.
I was getting there.
Which is a whole
I
other
was
layer.
getting there. So that's the one piece. And then as soon as you say something, anything that their Google engine deems to be not brand safe or whatever, all ads will be stopped and you're going to be pushed down and you will not be found.
Right. You'll be demonetized and you'll be removed from search. Right.
So, we're working in CourierCaster too. So 5,555 sats in CourierCaster. Woohoo! So here's the thing, podcasters. Be careful what you wish for.
Right.
You're going to be on YouTube. You're going to be up against all the things that YouTube creators are up against every day now. There's the biggest YouTuber was PewDiePie, I think. I don't know if he's still the leader. He was demonetized, 35 million subs or some crazy number. He was demonetized because of something he said.
Right.
And guess what? He had no recourse.
Yeah, and I'm constantly amused by what's happening with some content creators on YouTube, where they'll produce their show up to like the 30-minute mark, and then they'll say, goodbye. If you want to continue watching, go over to Rumble.
Because they can't get in. They can't talk what they want to talk
YouTube,
about because they shut them down.
But they can talk about it on Rumble.
You
so
think
now we're seeing Rumble update their platform to look almost identical to YouTube now. I don't know if you've seen their update.
I haven't. So now, if you think about this, I keep saying this and people don't believe it, but Spotify takes down more shows than anybody.
It's usually for music, though, right?
Oh, you're far too right and you're far too left. You're getting out. You're out. And so if you think that Apple or Spotify was hardcore, wait till you go to YouTube and say something controversial. One thing controversial, and have someone report you, and or their automated system flags you, and you're in the penalty box.
Right.
Matter of fact, your channel gets shut down for 30 days.
You move over to Rumble.
So, everybody's excited about YouTube. Oh, well, great. Knock yourself out.
So when are we going to start talking about podcasters becoming Rumblers?
I think most people think Rumble. I don't know. Does Rumble have a reputation? What is the Rumble's reputation, as being a conservative platform, or?
No, it's not conservative. It's just a free speech platform. I mean, it's really that.
Can you live stream on Rumble?
Yeah.
Well, we should be streaming over there.
Just like YouTube. I mean, there's shows out there that will do half their show on YouTube, and they'll do the other half on Rumble.
And they'll leave because they know if
they'll point their audience to go over to Rumble, or more and more increasingly what they're doing is just say, go to Rumble and you can watch the whole thing.
Oh, because YouTube brings the hammer.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening. So, and it's, I mean, from what I'm seeing with Rumble, they're accelerating what they're doing rapidly, and they're adding a lot of popular shows. They're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and their interface is getting better and better and better. So, yeah. So eventually, in a year or so, guess what? YouTube's going to have a competitor.
So all of my podcasting 2.0 friends, this is why. This is why we have to be careful of allowing these commercial bureaucrats coming in and trying to change the space.
Unfortunately, we're seeing the development of parallel economies. I mean, there's a division happening in a lot of aspects of our culture and our society and our I'm sure you're seeing it too, Todd.
I call it the silver lure thing. It's like, you're swimming along, you're fishing, and oh, there's the silver lure. Let me go get it. And you bite into it, and they hook you in, and the next thing you know, you're getting filleted and fried.
Right.
And life's over. So we have
I think this conversation applies to other aspects too of these parallel economies. I think it's an interesting development that's happening that could have blowback for people that are not, like I say,
aware.
Inclusive might be the best. It's the only word I can think of.
Oh,
versus divisive, right?
Say that again.
Well, I'm trying to come up with a politically correct way of saying this, but there are certain organizations that have taken pretty extreme positions
right.
from a social and policy perspective that are maybe driving people to work with other people that are much more not as cut and dried in their policies.
Oh, okay.
Around
I think I know what you're talking about.
Aspects of division, right, that we have in this country, right, between left and right.
Well, we're all podcasters. We all creating content. We're all. I don't care where you're at on the political spectrum. I don't know.
Right, I don't care either. But
and
that's kind of my point here is that some people do, and that's driving division.
And I want everyone to have the ability to have a voice. I don't care if you're black, white, purple, pink, or green. I don't care about your sexual preference. It's all good. We want you to create content. Right. Because guess what? We can. And no one can stop us. And it's open.
Well, which platform, if you were a podcaster, Todd, and I know you are, but just play the devil's advocate here. Would you rather be on a platform that you can do your whole show on? Or would you rather be a platform that you feel like you can only do half your show?
Well, that's easy. I want to be able to do the whole show.
Right. And that's what's happening right now. We're seeing that decision that increasingly content creators are being put in that box.
I appreciate content creators that push the envelope.
Right.
And right, left doesn't matter.
Yeah,
they make you think and have conversations and go, and maybe say you're wrong or say you're right or whatever it may be. That's what this space is all about. We've gotten to the point where, everyone has to be safe all the time. You have to be like, this space is designed where people could double finger the man.
Right.
And depends on who you double finger, but why
do we have to take everything so personal? Why can't we just listen and say, okay, I don't agree, but I appreciate your thoughts.
That ship has sailed already too, but I think the key here is what we have to go back and we have to continue to hit this again and again and again and again and again. Podcasting was formed because there were no gatekeepers.
Right. Or nobody telling you what you could or couldn't say.
And there's no rules in podcasting. Just like the person that was pissed off at me at the beginning of the show. There's no rules.
You talked about it. Right.
You do you and do your show and do it with the way you want to do it. And we can come out here and talk all day, come up with a new format that's hot and rock and roll it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty about this space. There's no limits.
Yeah. I mean, I faced this issue a long time ago with my radio show because I had controversial topics on my radio show that I did for many years. And I faced a lot of blowback from my listening community on, a topic or two that I had on the show. And you just have to grow a little bit of a thick skin and just, realize that those people care, else they wouldn't be telling you.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that they're horrible people
No.
or that I need to take it personally.
No.
But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in now.
And
People take everything personal and want to attack other people.
and
that's wrong.
I took that email that was sent and addressed it and put my position out there. And if that person wholeheartedly disagrees with me, fine.
Fine. And as a podcaster, that's the position you really need to take.
Yeah.
What you want is people listening.
Right.
Those people listening don't have to agree with you, but they may be listening because they disagree with you.
I used to have a listener on my show. His name was Sal.
Right.
I miss Sal. Sal finally got sick of me and left. But Sal was he was the dude. He's from Brooklyn. He'd send me this
Right.
email. Hey, in a Brooklyn voice, he would, he sent me an email in the Brooklyn tone. If you get my drift, it had a few F-bombs in it as well. And Sal have an opinion on my opinion, and I love Sal's opinion because guess what it did? It got everyone else engaged.
Right.
You got everyone else emailing the show saying Sal was right or Sal was wrong or vice versa, and it was good.
Yeah, I would on my show. I would get on the next episode and say, I wouldn't name names, but I would say this is what the audience thought about our last episode, and I respect it and I understand it, and I defended myself to some degree that it was an episode about the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA. Is what it was, and we were talking about what they do, and people were all upset because I was promoting a animal rights terrorist group and stuff like that. So you kind of see, and this was back in the middle 2000s. This was a long time ago. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing that happens to content creators today.
And that's why I didn't say Scott's last name on the show.
Right.
It's it's not fair. He's given an opinion, and I want people to feel that they can email in and tell me exactly what I did wrong, or that's what this thing's all about.
Yeah, that's happened regularly on this show because occasionally we get things wrong,
and every once in a while we twist, and we also we also push buttons once in a while too.
Right. I know Tom Webster's been upset at us a few times.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
of things we've said about his perspectives.
Sure.
And we've had reasonable dialogue. Then we have Tom on the show.
I haven't seen Tom watch the show in a while. I think he's abandoned us. I think he's too busy. I think he's too busy. It sounds profitable.
Yep. Well, Brian and Tom are working together, so
it
could be, we're now seen as not aligned with what they're doing. So
I want them to be successful, but it doesn't mean I have to agree.
Right.
With,
Yeah, I don't really think that Brian really is opposed to differing opinions. So I think it's more to do with that, he has his thoughts and he thinks he's right.
That's okay. I have my thoughts and I think I'm right too.
Right.
So I'm not going to be investing in any HLS technology, and I can't even, it's not even on a list anywhere.
Yeah.
Now the only thing
I want to stay friends with Brian. I don't have any wish to make this be a division that
make
I
it
never
a
speak
beef
to Brian again. Kind
now,
of a thing.
I might do HLS for something else, but it's not for podcast delivery.
Oh, we have a little glimpse here.
Well, I'm not.
What's really going on here? Tom?
No, it's not. It's it's expensive. So how do you add something where you think, okay, how do we really, how do you deliver this without, saying, give me $100 every month.
Right. Yeah.
Or $100 every episode. That doesn't work. That's not in the budget of content creators.
Well, we're not a YouTube. Is that what you're saying? With
No,
unlimited budget?
no, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not. So,
all right.
But, it is an interest. And someone's going to email say, hey, HLS is low overhead, doesn't cost anything to run, and da-da-da-da.
It's more efficient to
I'm
deliver
going to hear all
content.
that.
Right.
But if you can, I'll give you a number, AKA per gigabyte number, and if you can deliver the content at a cheaper cost on a per gigabit scale, well, I might even look at it because, I'm always looking to save money, but I can't break what we have here because I want people to be in. The thing is, people think too narrowly because we have it pretty good here in the United States. We have decent mobile broadband, decent, not as good as many countries. But if you get into Africa, you get into some places in Southeast Asia, bandwidth it's a challenge for people to be able to.
Same with Africa too. It's the same way.
To be able to get to stream. Oh,
right.
And I know HLS has some variables and stuff, so there's some things there. But at the same time, we can't just be focused on the United States on how people consume content because people are going to coffee shops or to internet cafes. Yes, they still exist. and they don't have data, and they're connecting to Wi-Fi somewhere, and they're grabbing 20 shows, and they're walking away with 20 shows in their phone that they can listen to, and then come back and do a refresh when they are back in town or wherever they may be, and getting access to the internet. Here, look at my situation out, unless if Starlink wasn't around, I'd still be stuck at 15.3. And that was at the top end of bandwidth,
Right. That's 15 down, 3 up.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's all about when people start talking about changing stuff. You got to go. What's the agenda?
Right. Why are we doing that?
Why are we doing that? Yep.
Yep. So there seems to be an uptick in activities around podcasting in the Southeast Asia market. With some interest in events that are going on, and I saw that the Podfest folks are. I don't know if this has been formally announced or not, but they're looking at doing something over there.
Well,
right. I don't know if you heard about that.
I did, but I didn't know if there was a decision that had been made in the dates.
Yeah, well, maybe I shouldn't say, but yeah, it does seem that there's interest in expanding podcasting in the Southeast Asia market, which is just above Australia, which could include Australia too.
You know who owns Southeast Asia in podcasting? Spotify. Spotify rules the roost on everything over there. Spend a lot of money buying shows 10 cents on the dollar, getting you don't hear any of that news.
Right. Yeah.
But
it's the same in the North Africa area too,
and Middle East. Yeah, they're very active over there to, get as many shows on their platform as they can. So
right.
But 'tis what it is.
Yep.
I was going to, we haven't done this in a little bit. Let me see if I can find the link. I've got I have to create a link tree of some sort because I've got too many links here. Let me look here. All right, here we go. Let me load this. So as of today, there are feeds with funding block 11,823. That's up. I wonder where those came from. There has been feeds feeds with new episodes last 3. Let me do this right. Paid feeds with new episodes? Really? How do they know what are paid feeds?
Those are premium podcasts, right?
I'm going to have to ask Dave Jones what this means. Paid feeds with new episodes? Oh,
paid subscription feeds?
These are okay. I know what's going on here. These are shows that have a paid podcast subscription.
Right.
Paid feeds with new episodes in the last 30 days, 267,649. Feeds with new episodes in the last 30 days, 361,468. Notice there's a difference there. Feeds with new episodes in the last 30 days, 361,468. Paid feeds, in other words, non-anchor shows, 267,649. So if you look at that difference, that means there's only been, if this is correct, oh, Dave, you're going to have to help me out here. That means that there's only been 100,000 shows update their podcast on Anchor in the last 30 days. That's the way I read this.
That's a little sad.
I'm gonna need to reach out to someone that's listening. Is this what this new data shows? And then
if that's true, that's just a fraction of the shows that they've pumped into the podcasting space.
But that means that Blueberry, Libsyn, Podbean, Buzzsprout, we had 267,000 new episodes in the last 30 days that people were paying for. And I don't know if the feeds with new episodes last 30 days, 361, I don't know if that's is that the anchor number or is that the
Yeah.
including?
Sure.
We're gonna have to find out what the definition here is.
Yeah.
But regardless, feeds with a value block 11,823, feeds with funding tag 31,723, feeds with transcripts 24,311, episodes with transcripts 591,000, feeds with chapters 15,180, episodes with chapters 248,000, feeds with medium music 21, feeds with the medium video 7,734. So there's a medium tag now that they're tracking. We don't have that implemented at Blueberry, what the medium is. So total, now there isn't, they did some cleaning house over there. There's 3,926,137 podcast in the podcast index directory at this moment. So they've been cleaning up the dead weight. I guess that's the better term. So,
Interesting.
yeah. So someone over there is going to have to tell me. Did anyone see if I got a notice here? I guess people didn't continue to listen, but I will find this out. I have not heard about this change to this report because paid feeds with new episodes in the last 3 days, 94,000. Feeds with new episodes 3 days, 121,000. So does that mean 121,000 were free shows and 94,000 were paid shows?
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there is some numbers,
Those are some numbers.
but it's, let me go over to the website because some of this should be showing up over there as well. Because that, he keeps changing the logarithm a little bit. It throws things off. But yeah, it says shows published. Okay, here's the number. Shows published in the last 30 days was 361,000. 439 and 60, 495 and 90. So shows published. Number of shows that have published in 30 days. So that number hasn't changed very much. That's about the same. 360, 439, 495.
Well, it's like we saw in the data. It was pretty much flatline.
Yeah, flatline. Yep, pretty much flat.
So if you're producing a podcast right now,
It's a
and
great
you've been
time.
doing it for a while, you're probably continuing.
It's a great time. Great time to
Right.
be a podcaster.
Right. But there's not a huge amount of new shows coming into
Nope.
the medium right now.
Nope.
So this is a great time to start your show.
Although we're seeing, I see the new signups at Blueberry, and I don't see our new signups haven't really changed that much. But I'm also
It's steady. Right.
yeah, but I'm also not losing out the back end. So interesting.
Well,
it is
that's
an
good, Todd,
interesting.
that's good, Todd, for your platform.
Well,
You're
so the
not
churn,
losing
the-
people
yeah, the
at
churn-
the same rate that you're gaining.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. There isn't always a churn rate, but the key is to have the incoming higher than the churn
Be-
rate.
be a little higher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are actually starting to, I will say for the first time in a long time, really starting to migrate a lot of shows. We're pulling a bunch over, and they're coming primarily from one platform. So I'm sure that Cridlin tracks his little thing. It might start to show up where those are coming from. But
You want to say?
nope,
No?
nope,
Wow.
nope.
It's probably somebody that I know or something.
Of course you know who they are.
It's not some big agent in LA that's referring all
No,
these.
nothing like
Okay.
that. No.
Yeah. Got it.
But so it's an interesting time in the podcasting space from a, I haven't even really, to be honest with you, been following the news that close on what's actually
Yeah.
being announced. Well, I read it, but I'm just like, okay, it's like yawn, nothing that
There's
gets
a bunch
me.
of podcasting events coming up in February up here in the Northeast. There's the Audio Intelligence Summit, which is coming up on February 15th in New York. And then there's the Podcast Experience, which I guess is like an exhibit of sorts, featuring podcasts as the topic, that's linked up with the On Air Fest that's going on in Brooklyn on February 23rd. Both those are happening simultaneously. And then the infamous or the famous or whatever you want to call it, the Hot Pod Summit is going on as well. So that's happening in that same time window, the 23rd and 24th. And then obviously Podcast Movement is coming up as well. So things are really kind of dominoing.
Yep.
As we come into spring, lots of things going on.
So are you going to London?
At this point, I probably will not be.
Yeah, I've been looking at the price. Whew. Airfare is still
I'm going to be
insane.
on the opposite coast. I'm going to be in the opposite coast. I'm doing a couple events on the West Coast in that same week.
Oh, that's right. You're going to be at ATD.
ATD and
Yeah.
then also probably at Outlier. So
Yeah. So I have other team members that are going to go to ATD. So, but yeah, it's right there, butting up one against each other. But when I looked at airline tickets, and they don't make it cheap to do stuff in the UK.
no,
You know,
it's not.
the $2,400 for an airline ticket and $1,400 for the room.
The booth is expensive.
Yeah, I'm not
too.
doing a booth.
Right.
I'm just going to be an observer and walk around and say hello. The ticket to the show's inexpensive, but
Mhm.
holy crap. The incidentals to get over there is insane.
Yeah. So it doesn't appear I'm going to be going over there. So
But where did you
I did that
stay
last
when you
spring.
went? Where did you stay when you were in the UK?
I stayed at this little tiny hotel, like about a mile or so up the road from the venue. So
was it cheaper?
I got as cheap as I could because I had to stay there for a week. So I was there for quite a while.
Well,
So,
I was
just
going to
prior-
be there 4 days or something like that, 4 or 5
Yeah.
days.
I had the Radio Days Europe event that I did in Sweden.
Oh,
I had to fly from there to London, and the events were like a week apart. So,
because I just looked at Hilton and Marriott, and they were all just like, whew.
and then I was only able to stay there for one day, and then I had to fly to Podfest in Orlando.
That's right. That's right.
So the next day, so I did 3 events back to back on that trip.
Yeah.
So and that's what's kind of going to happen in California with these 2 events, one in San Diego and one in LA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't think we're going to go to Outlier. I haven't. The thing is, we just have to. These events, it's challenging to support these events, and if there's only 100, 150 people there, or 50, it makes it hard,
Yeah,
to
it does.
justify,
it does.
$3,000-$4,000 by the time you get done with
if you're
airfare,
going to be a
hotel.
sponsor or have a
Right.
booth or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to have that involvement with Outlier. I think it's just more presentation.
Yeah,
And then there's the NAB coming up too, which I'm
Right.
working hard on. So trying to get that pulled together and get us on stage at that event. And
So
then
is-
supposedly we're supposed to be in a panel with the radio track with podcasting. So
Oh, really?
and I both.
When are they going to let us know about that?
It's a very good question. Todd.
Yeah. So,
So
is
we shall see.
Podbean exhibiting at NAB?
yes,
Oh, okay. And you guys are in Central too?
we're over there right with you.
Oh, beautiful.
In that approximate area in the central hall.
I still
But
don't. I still don't understand why your prior employer is over in the nosebleed on West.
Well, from what I heard from a little bird on this, I guess there's a bunch of content sessions that are going to go on in the West Pavilion this year.
Doesn't matter.
So
Doesn't
I
matter.
know. I know it doesn't matter because
No.
people that tell me that went over there, they all took Teslas through the tunnel to get there.
Yeah,
And it's
it's-
like that's a pretty good sign that it's a long ways to
It's
go.
a long ways to go,
You have to take a car to get there.
and you have to know where you have to be in the proximity of the whatever. Once you come out of the Tesla, it's still
Yeah.
you're not close. They
No,
bring
no,
you into
I
a
mean,
parking lot,
Just to get into the Tesla tunnel,
Right.
you have to walk
Right.
towards the South Hall.
so I think it's
right?
a wash by the time it's all over.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't understand. We told them we weren't coming unless they moved us, and we didn't really have a choice of booth, but we didn't care. We got into Central Hall.
Yeah, I think we had to get a bigger booth in order to move. So
Oh,
yeah, but anyway, that's kind of
yep,
off topic a little bit. But,
sure, but
So is
just
there any thing else that's going on?
I've got
Podcast movement. It doesn't appear that we're going to be doing any kind of live new media show. on
yeah, we
stage
didn't
at that
plan
event.
on we didn't plan on doing it, so it's
So-
fine. Yeah.
And it also, just to let everybody know, it doesn't appear that I don't know if I should say this or not yet, but the Hall of Fame.
Oh, be careful.
Yeah. So I just, if people are expecting that, it's probably not going to happen. So, but we'll see.
And more to follow.
Yeah.
Boy, just put it out there, Rob.
Well, I did. I did a little bit, but it shouldn't be surprised if you go to podcasthof.com. It's not been updated with any kind of information about the next event.
Right.
So it's kind of somewhat public on that if you're paying attention.
So we will more to follow. I guess that's
Yes.
the best word to say. And
Yep.
give us some time. All right. Are we out of steam?
I don't know, what time is it?
It's 9 minutes to go.
There's got to be something else we can talk about. Is there something else we can
Well, I was just
squeeze in?
I was trying and unsuccessfully for some reason. I'm on the wrong email account. Now let's get over here and look at that. The individual Scott did reply again. He wrote quite the book, and so I guess we're not going to see eye to eye. So I don't know if
Okay.
he's listening to the show or not, but maybe he'll listen. He says what because I had explained to him what I told you, and he said, "Well, that doesn't make any sense." So anyway, it's okay.
Well, you have a different vantage point on this than most people have.
That's true.
Right. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And I do too. I don't always agree with newer people to the medium and how they view the medium. So, but that's
So
That's okay.
those of you that heard my little discussion at the beginning of the show, did what I say make sense? Is it at all talking bad about podcasters? Am I stepping on podcasters? I don't think so. I think it's and you tell me. I'd love to hear from the audience. Todd at blueberry.com.
it's kind of just business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not perform in business,
Right.
and expect to get the benefits of it. So
I did laugh that Libsyn added the soundbite audio clip from Podcast 2.0 to the feeds, RSS feeds.
yeah, I saw that too.
And, they did that manually. It's not.
Of course,
it doesn't.
Yeah. There's a little box in the distribution interface that you can add a tag to
Right.
the RSS feed, and that's essentially what they did was they manually added that tag.
That's right. So I do find it a little comical that they actually got a press release out of manually adding a tag that is really for the average podcaster probably
to one podcast.
to
right?
one podcast is probably
It's a breakthrough, Todd.
oh really.
I don't.
I wonder if
maybe.
Dave Jackson made that happen, because Dave's following the space pretty close. So,
Yeah.
who actually did that, therein lies the question.
I think it was probably Elsie, is my guess.
Okay. Well, is Elsie?
In collaboration with someone else. Probably.
Yeah. I don't think it was the Rob that did it. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sure he did not enter it.
I don't think Rob gets involved in the publishing.
Oh,
side
he
of
just
it.
shows up to record.
Yeah. It could be that they were looking for a little bit of a bump in awareness that maybe they acknowledge the podcasting 2.0
Oh,
project.
well, they got it. They got a paragraph, so that's good.
Yeah.
It'll give all the Libsyn folks hope that there is new features coming. But I would just say don't hold your breath too much.
Hold your breath. Right.
Maybe out in the future, but I would not hold my breath right now. So
I think that they have awareness of it.
they
I
do.
made sure that
They're
people over there were
Yeah.
aware of the project. And it's the same thing I'm doing at Podbean too. So I'm making sure everybody's up to speed with what's going on.
Right.
So they can make the right decision if they have the current information. So
well. I'm going to wrap us up here so we don't waste people's time.
all right.
So not too consequential of a show, I guess,
No.
right? I titled this one "The Realities of
normal.
Podcasting." This is the title of the show that I named it. Is it? Do you think that's the right name?
Yeah, I think it'll work.
Okay.
Right. Let's live in a truth realm. Right.
Right.
Another one too.
So anyway, we'd love to hear your feedback on everything we've talked about today. Please feel free to put me on Nuclear Blast. Definitely, it always lightens my day up when I get that kind of an email. Todd at blueberry.com.
Well, include me on those too. I want to get included in the bashing. I don't want to get left out of the bashing.
Well,
especially if there's good things in there about me.
Oh yeah,
he
was.
They're only bashing.
Yeah,
you,
it was a complete Rob love fest.
Why does that happen, Todd?
Oh, I don't
understand.
know.
It's happened before. I don't
Well, it's
understand
happened
why
to you
that
too. So we've both gotten on the whipping wheel.
Oh, I know.
here.
I've gotten roughed up
because
too.
because what it is
I think
we
what
just-
it is, Todd. I'm too tall. Nobody wants to. Nobody
no,
wants to
what
beat
it-
me up.
what it really is that we just kind of tell it the way it is. And I'm not gonna make up. I'm not gonna tell your baby's beautiful if it's ugly.
Yeah, and we've been wrong in the past.
Yeah, we've been wrong. So
it's not that we're perfect on this and we know all the answers.
that's
Well,
right. I'm just relaying
don't,
my
but-
experience and another
Right.
company's experience.
Yeah, right.
All right.
So that's what the purpose of this show is to talk about issues that maybe aren't getting talked about.
Yep. So everyone, thank you for the boost, the 5555 from Stephen B. on Carrie Caster that came through, and the 50,000 from Adam, and all the other Mitch, Mike, all the other folks that boosted the show today. We definitely appreciate it. And thank you for your ongoing technical troubleshooting support too. And definitely check out Podverse. Mitch went over there and did yeoman's work to help us troubleshoot things today. So definitely appreciate that. Again, I'm Todd at Blueberry.com. You can reach me at Geek News on Twitter as well. Rob?
I'm on Twitter too at Rob Greenlee, and fairly active over there. But I'm also on all the other social platforms too, so you can reach me in a variety of ways, and people do. So just a matter of if you want to reach me directly, you can send an email to just rob@podbean.com, and that'll get routed to me. So love to hear from you, and definitely give us feedback on the show and the things that we talk about. We definitely will talk about your comments in the next show.
That's right.
Todd, are you foreseeing that you're going to be out of the pocket anytime for the rest of the month?
Nope, I think I'm here.
Okay.
I don't no unless I get hit by a car or something. So I think I'm here.
Because I do have some guests that are kind of rumbling around out there that I want to bring on, and one of them probably won't be able to join us until after Podcast Movement.
Okay,
So
that's cool.
So, but they're leading lights in the industry, so I want to
There
make sure
we-
that they get on.
That's right.
So,
We
yep.
can come in and get their opinion.
right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on the New Media Show. Go over to newmediashow.com. Please follow or subscribe to the podcast. And, of course, if you're not using a new podcast app, go over to newpodcastapps.com. Grab one, Fountain, Podverse, CurioCaster. Lots of options over there for you to give that a try. So, everyone, thanks. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thanks.